Hey guys, you can now support this show and make your life 50% better by going to patreon.com/The System Is Down and signing up for the Downers Club, where you're going to get access to a plethora of wild, crazy, and often offensive bonus audio and video episodes of the show on a weekly basis. For more information, just go to patreon.com/The System Is Down. Today's episode is sponsored by the 29 Toes podcast. If at any point during this episode you find yourself a little too uncomfortable and triggered, you can head over to 29toes.com and kind of decompress your brain a little bit, where they're just having casual, laid-back, fun, funny conversations about things that are going on in their lives, in the world, things in media and entertainment, all that fun stuff. So check them out at 29toes.com or wherever podcasts are sold. The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Welcome to the System Is Down.
What's up, Downers? Welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web. The System Is Down, and I've got an extra special episode for you today. It's our Downie Awards ceremony that we do every year around this time, where we recap everything that happened in the year that we enjoyed in entertainment. And I wasn't planning on recording an intro right here because I feel like I introed it pretty well in the actual conversation. However, I did want to jump in here briefly and point out that there are some audio glitches that you will notice at the beginning, some weird audio kinks that work themselves out as we go through. So if you can't handle it, you're welcome to jump ahead, but you're going to miss out on some fun stuff. It irons itself out fairly reasonably quickly. So there's that. Also, because I host the show, I am able to go back and amend my list for things that I liked in the year. And when it comes to movies in my list, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse did not make my list because I had not seen it yet. I have the power to change my list, unlike the rest of the guys, but I'm definitely going to throw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse up at my number one slot for the year, actually. So there's that. If you'd like to hear my full review on that movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, it's such a long name to say. I did a full breakdown of that film with Remzo Martinez of the Remzo Martinez Experience, so you can go over to his show and check that out. All right, that's enough here. Let's jump into this, the Downie Awards 2018. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Super Kwanzaa, or whatever. Let's get weird. All right, it's that time of year again. It is December, the end of December, the end of the year, the end of 2018, the worst year in the history of the world. But we're going to end it the right way, probably with a bang, probably all in flames. Welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web, The System Is Down, where we talk about conspiracies, politics, religion, and all the uncomfortable topics that get Cole's panties in a wad. Am I right, Cole? Anyway.
I'm not wearing any underwear right now, so...
Yeah, so we did this...
Just to keep them from getting in a wad.
Exactly. I found the best way to avert the panty wall twisting. I think we're going to go with that one. Panty twist. To just not wear them anymore.
Yeah, that helps.
Like, I mean, I don't know even why I was wearing women's underwear, you know?
I've been asking for
a long time.
That was part of the contention in the Why Cole Hates Me episode. It was just the panties.
Just, if you just quit buying them, eventually they wear out and you just don't have any more.
They wear out. You just wear right through that thong strap. But anyway, so these episodes are very much outside the norm of this show. If you haven't been listening for very long, then you probably haven't heard last year's Downie's Awards episode, where we recap everything that we enjoyed in the year as far as entertainment. We cover everything from movies to TV to podcasts to music, albums, and if we're feeling saucy, we might even get into video games. But I'm here.
What? Might?
We will. Okay.
We
will.
This is a big year for video games, dude.
For us young, strapping chaps, Craig will be left out of that one because he's still playing Madden 95. But I'm here joined by the gang once again for like the second time ever. The gang that was supposed to be the regular. Yeah, I mean, we've done it a few times. Oh, and Nathan jumped out and jumped back in. Okay. So I've got Cole, Craig, and Nathan here. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Craig?
Good.
And Cole?
I want to sound bassy
Chill.
like
We're cool.
Nathan.
You guys
Sorry, I
are
don't try.
you guys are really insightful. Good, and chill.
I'm doing fantastic. How about that?
Well,
I'm glad to be here.
fuck
And
yeah,
I'm glad
Bob.
that this year, this is the first year
That's from
I
Family Guy.
actually know what your Downies is referencing. So
Yeah, Craig.
good
It has been a good year for Craig because he finally popped his The Office cherry and started watching.
That's a Dundies reference?
Yeah.
I just thought
of
you...
course.
It's a combination of the Dundies and the Downers, so it's the Downies.
Yeah,
Come
I
on,
just,
Cole.
I
Not that
just,
creative,
I mean,
but
I didn't draw the
it
connection to the Dundies. Obviously, I know what the Dundies are, but
Fine.
it's quite a different word.
In that case, it's not related in any way. I just.
My bad.
Yeah. So how's
How old were
everybody's?
you when you realized that the Downies was a Dundies reference? For me, it was 26.
I think he mentioned it last year, Cole. So
Yeah, last
You
year
probably
Cole
weren't paying
bailed at the
attention.
last minute.
oh yeah, that's
Probably
right.
never had any intentions of being able to make it, but didn't want to say
Probably.
no. That's probably how that went.
And this time,
Didn't
you were
wanna
able
say
to
no.
Skype in because you have faster internet now and live in a different location, but you still showed up at my house. So it's like you have to be contrarian no matter what. Either you're definitely going to be there and you don't show up, or you're not going to come, or you're going to be on it.
I
and
don't
you show
like
up
to
at my house.
be. I don't like to be predictable.
Don't like commitments.
Or commitments. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
like that. I don't want to be like, no, I got to do that thing. Like,
Yeah.
That's
up,
why-
up until about an hour or two ago, okay, let's say 3 or 4 hours ago, I
weren't
didn't really even know
convinced
if
you
I
were
was
coming.
doing this tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So-
why when you ask what time of day works for everyone about a month ago, Cole never responded.
Yeah, it didn't matter to me until
That's
like
true.
a day ago or two.
You're like, just hit me up whenever you feel like doing it, and then I can let you know that I'm not coming then instead of now.
Yeah.
Either way, my schedule
I mean,
won't
I'm
change
elusive.
anything,
It's
so I'm
not
coming.
always by choice, okay?
Yeah, sure.
It's just kind of the way of the beast, you know?
Sure,
It's
yeah.
the nature.
Busy man.
Anyway, we're drinking, we're vaping. Those of us douchebags who do that, and we're just gonna chill and discuss, the year and what the things that we enjoyed. Give you guys some recommendations if you value our ignorant opinions. But
Is this always so structured? Do you always do this so structured?
you would know if you listened or showed up to the podcast every
I
once
don't
in a
know.
while.
It's just so structured. Like,
I don't feel
So
this
how
is
is
structured at
how is
all.
your? Yeah, this is much less structured than normal, actually.
nice.
I
I feel
Having Cole on the
glad.
podcast gives us in the moment feedback. It's great.
It's just like it's like director's commentary, but while the movie is happening, like
Like,
a guy standing off to
why
the side
not
of each
just cut
scene,
out
being
the
like, "Why are we
middleman?"
doing? Why are we doing that way?"
Like I'm watching. Okay. Like I said, like naturally, I could start talking about something that was released this year that was a TV show. Unless you want to like introduce.
No, we're
cue
more
up the
structured than
subject.
that.
Yeah,
We're
I
more
figured.
structured than that. Yeah, you're right.
See?
So before we get into
Cole,
that,
can't just
don't-
naturally start
don't blow your
talking.
load early, Cole.
I can't just start talking about a show I've been watching and share with you guys.
well, you could, but it would be disruptive. Before we get into our official awards, how was 2018 for everybody? This first one will be coming out like the day before Christmas, and then the next one will be the week right after, so right before New Year's. But how is all your years so far as of the beginning of December when we're recording this?
Ugh.
Everybody talk over each other. Go ahead.
All right, fine. I'll go since nobody else wants to talk.
So like my
I
year was
mentioned-
really interesting. A lot of things happened to me or for me. Oh, Craig, were you talking?
Nope.
Subtle.
Nope.
Shit. I mean, there's a
So-
real delay.
I do know that, and
Not really.
we really learned this the very first episode that we did where all of us were on. We were seriously talking over each other the whole freaking time. But I had said, I think on Monday's news episode, that I would be perfectly content if on January 1st of 2019 we just highlighted with our little mouse pointer on our computer, highlighted 2018 from January 1st to December 31st, and just hit the delete button and just skipped it.
Or if you're a Mac
altogether.
user, drag it down to the trash bin.
Is this from the perspective of the media content of the year or your life personally? What is happening, Craig?
Well, Craig and I
No,
dig into
no,
politics and the
mostly
news
the
and stuff
media.
like that, which you tend to avoid, which is fine. But if you follow any of that stuff, it makes more sense.
Avoid
Why
it
you'd want to
isn't
just
really the right word.
Control Alt Delete the whole year.
Yeah, all the outrage.
It's an interesting way to
Outrage
like
being-
sum your life up, though.
Outrage is the word of the day or the word of the year. Everybody getting up in arms, and now in December it's getting even worse with people picking out the Christmas movies that in
People being
1964
literally
were
offended by
racist.
Rudolph.
Christmas songs
and,
too, yeah.
And
And
Baby It's
songs.
Cold Outside and all this type of shit. Yeah, I saw a meme earlier today that was like millennials listening to different types of music, and it was like millennials listening to Snoop Dogg talk about like raping and beating up
Right.
women,
Well, I don't
and they're
think
like,
Snoop
yeah,
Dogg
and then it's
did
like
that.
millennials listening to Baby It's Cold Outside, and they're just like outraged.
Yeah, because we're
just
not
absolutely
trying to hide it. When we're talking about crazy shit, we're like, yeah, this is crazy shit. But that song was trying to like disguise.
No.
Yeah. No, it's
Well, it
weird.
wasn't. It was written between a man and his wife, and they sang it at parties. But
No, it
it
just
was
sounds
just kind of
weird.
a flirty thing and funny. But that's not really.
What about I Saw Mama Kissing Santa Claus? I mean,
That one's a
she's
little creepy.
definitely cheating on her husband.
No, that's her.
That one
fucking
is
dad.
her husband.
Or that's the kid's dad. Like from the perspective
Yes.
of
Nope, it's Santa Claus.
Nope.
I'm
She's a
outraged. All right, so much for that. Let's just get into.
wow.
I mean, did
That's
you
a
have
quick
anything
way
else?
to read the room.
Did
right
you have
here.
anything else? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
whore. Nathan has no perspective.
we could
of
easily
2018.
spend the next 2 hours ranting about that type of thing,
It's not-
but then we'll not get to the actual.
No, that's not
thing
what I
we're gonna
meant. But I just meant it's funny to me that you guys think of the outrage over a really old song as being like just outlandish and stupid. Like
Yep,
by
it is.
it's funny that you
Yeah.
you care that much, in my opinion. Like
And it's not just
not
the
that-
songs. It's
I don't care.
a compilation of everything this year.
All right. Yeah. Listen to the show.
no, no, we're friends. We're all friends. Like if I can't, I can just catch up right now. How's that?
You could if you had time.
I
We
think I know what podcast is not making it on Cole's list this year.
Dude, there's way too many podcasts to listen to. I'm not gonna listen to
Right.
my brother-in-law
oh
and you guys.
I
can listen to you
our
guys
own
anytime.
Podcast more than I listen to any of the other ones. So
Well, it's not my own podcast. I'm a rare,
It could have
I'm a rare
been.
guest.
could have been.
yeah, you were one of the OGs.
Are
You
on,
could have been
are you
in
saying
on
that
this
you're
shit.
here every like week?
Could-
That you do
We're
this
supposed to bring balance.
Craig
to the
does it every
podcast.
week. We do the
Not
news as
just-
a second show every week.
Nathan.
Yes.
Thank you.
That was good. Hey,
Stay on target.
Jimmy. That's
Stay on target.
That's part of why I'm here right now. Because like I'm like, yeah, dude, just go and catch up. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Like who cares?
Yeah.
This year has been, and I'm really looking at next year. Let's talk about New Year's resolutions. Not really, but no, this year for me has been more of a say yes to stuff. Try,
Say yes to the dress.
but it's more at the end. Like, it's kind of been picking up more of recent in the last couple months. Just like, hey, just do some shit that you might normally say no to because
You're gonna
I'm
die
a
soon.
homebody sometimes.
Yes, you are.
Cocaine.
Because I'm
Cocaine. Did you say yes to cocaine?
well, I mean, if you had it and you were here, I might. If you were trying it, and you were like,
everybody
"Dude,
else
no,
is
for
jumping off
real,
the bridge."
Cole, it's gonna be all right." If Craig told me that and he was all right, I'd be like, "Hey, you know, I might try a bump. I might take a bump."
You know, sure. Let's. And Cole
Pump it
does
up.
all the lines.
Let's give it a little. Okay, that was fun. Let's try another one. What else you got?
So no, I don't know. I'm looking at next year being more chill than this year.
Yeah.
For me.
And we could talk about stuff like New Year's resolutions
That's not
after
exactly
we're done
what I
with all the
Sorry.
other stuff. I mean, I'm down. I think that would be an interesting discussion for sure. But I have a feeling this is going to take longer than we intended to because it did take way longer. Like last year, it was supposed to be. I thought it was going to be a quick 40-minute episode. Then it ended up being 2 hours, and we split it up into 2 parts.
Do you ever
So
feel like it's meta that you talk about your episode links in the episode itself? Do you do that?
He plugs himself constantly.
Meta.
He doesn't edit episodes anymore, so
Good. It's
I
true.
don't think.
No, good. Which is why I think it'd be cool to just capture some of the whole it's obvious that
that's
we
what
haven't-
we're doing.
Yeah, I just think it's cool. You don't have to worry about getting
Yeah.
through it.
Guys,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do to reach the youth these days? What are the kids?
Shut up, Nathan.
Just
Let them reach themselves.
Wearing
They're pretty
Christian
good at it.
T-shirts is the best form of ministry.
Especially the ones that mimic other brands, like Air Jesus shirts,
Or Christ is King
um,
instead of Coca-Cola.
Yes. I
Well,
like
We had a
that.
sad childhood. Let's talk about the
Yeah,
future.
that is sad. All of that stuff is sad.
Nathan, how was your year?
So a little bit of backstory on a little bit of information.
What are you laughing at?
Just the way he starts a story is very reluctant.
I-
We want to know. I try to keep to myself.
I am the type of person where there could be snow on the ground and I'm talking to somebody. I'm like, so are you guys on summer vacation right now? Like, I am so woefully oblivious about timing and what even year it is.
Oh, is that the time?
It's hard for me to really remember what distinguishes this year from any other years. So
How much weed do you smoke?
Shut up, dude. I know I had my daughter last year, so this year has been a lot of her growing up. That's been pretty cool. But overall,
I'd like to hear about that.
I've just been super busy all year and rarely had a chance to breathe. So I don't know.
Well, that's kind of, an exaggeration. I've been breathing the entire time. So.
Well, you know what? Oh, it's a big speech.
So, hopefully, we've got this resolved now, and we all sound nice and beautifully crispy clean. And I'm glad I thought of it before we actually got into the official conversation. So, yeah, how have you guys been the last 30 seconds?
My year got a lot better in the last
way
30
better.
seconds than it did before when you asked. Because, geez.
It was going pretty
so
poorly
much
before
has
that.
happened. Yeah, it was.
This is the first time we've had technological issues.
We never
when
ever have
recording.
technological issues.
So that's why
every
we're so
week.
unprepared for it.
That's right. I don't know how to handle it. Anyway, so if we're all good catching up to at least a minimal extent, of course we'll be catching up throughout and probably talking over each other the whole time and all that fun stuff. But if you guys are ready to jump into it, we're going to start out with the first category. It's a good place to start, I think. And it is going...
Hey, whatever your first one was, fuck that one, and let's do the second one first.
The second one
and
was
just
movies.
say that it's
We're starting with movies.
There we go.
Thank you.
The second one.
Good.
The second thing.
So starting from the second place, which is movies.
So when are we doing number one? Is that going after number
worry
two,
about
or are we
number
bumping
one.
it to the end?
Don't worry about that one.
I'm not even sure what's happening anymore. But the way we
This
did it
isn't your
last
show
year,
anymore today.
that's fine. I'm cool with it. So the way we did it last year was we counted down our top 3 favorites of each category.
Oh, shit, 3?
Nathan and Craig, do you guys remember if we did like Craig do all 3 of his and then Nathan do all 3 of his? I think that's how we did it, right?
I believe so.
Like we didn't
And
just
yeah,
go around one at a time.
categories-
Okay.
With some categories, we had some like honorable mention or whatever.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit of honorable mentions actually, so feel free to
Some
throw
on-
them in
some
when it's your turn.
on-mens.
Some what?
I
Some
had a hard
comment.
enough time coming up with the amount we needed, so honorable mentions probably aren't going to exist for me.
So
That's all right, Craig.
We're
You
gonna
just
do
started
movies and
watching The
shows?
Office.
we're gonna worry most about movies and shows.
For the first episode here, it's all gonna be recorded
Cool.
tonight.
Cool beans, whatever.
It's called Movie Magic. The next one will come out next week,
Oh, we
but
know
it
the
will be
title?
recorded tonight.
Can I say it in the show? That way it's like, and that's the title.
Let's see.
You said this title's gonna be Movie Magic? The title
I
of the
don't remember
show?
what I said. No, that's not the title.
And today's show is called Movie Magic.
All right.
That's what it's called.
So who wants to kick off movies first? I say we start with Cole since he's got a lot to say.
No. Well, that's
Cole
fine.
it is. He's the new guy.
Who left his notes at work that he made on these, and now he's looking at movies right now, trying to find things that he watched.
Okay, why is Google's logo gray today? Is there George H.W. R.I.P.
What does that
Let's,
have to do
another
with George
bureaucrat did
H.W.?
it
Let's
dust.
all take a moment of silence for George H.W. Bush's passing. All right, Cole, are you ready? Go ahead and
Real time.
give us your first movie.
So what's up? I haven't watched very many movies this year.
Give us your number 3. Start with that.
So we're saying this was I saw very few movies this year, and it was hard for me to even come up with 3 I saw that were released in 2018. So I'm going to tell you about the 3 movies that I saw this year.
That's pretty much what Craig did last year, and then he just kind of
That's what I did
poorly
this year.
ranked them.
I'm going to rank them.
My
for you.
daughter reminded me of a movie, the third movie we watched this year, like 5 minutes before I came down here. I'm like, what movies did we watch this year that came out this year? And she said
all
one. I
good.
was like, oh, that's old. And then she said another one. I was like, that's it. That's going on my list.
That's my number 1. That's all I watched.
So yeah, like was mentioned before, most of the things I think I spent my time watching movie-wise was probably older stuff that maybe I hadn't seen before or was rewatching for, replay value.
Yeah.
But I think I've discovered a lot of older movies this year. But there was a few I watched that came out this year. One, let's see, I have a list of the 3 that in order of what I thought was the best and worst. And then I just have, in addition to that, ones that I thought just sucked awfully and didn't make it into my top 3. But and then another that I really want to see that has amazing reviews, but haven't gotten around to seeing yet. So
don't give us the worst first, like unless you
give me
only
the
have
best?
3. Give me like of the top 3 best. Give us
Okay.
the number
Yeah,
3,
right, okay,
and then we
so
can
the
cover
top
worst
3,
after that.
Number 3, not the best.
Yes.
That's okay. Honestly, it's tough. That's a hard call between my number 2 and 3. So I'm going to say Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom as my number 3.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else
Do
see?
you guys see that movie?
I have not.
I have not. I was. How was it?
So I tried to get you to go with me. Remember?
You did. Yes.
I tried hard. I feel like I really wanted to see it together, but and
What
my
was I
wife
doing?
doesn't
There was
really-
something happening.
My wife doesn't really care for those movies very much, but I really love the Jurassic Park franchise, even though a lot of them
Same.
suck. Like
Yeah,
I
same.
really-
The first one was fantastic,
Of
and
course.
then they kind of sucked from there.
As a
but-
kid, Jurassic Park was probably my favorite movie. I was obsessed with dinosaurs. I to this day still have a recurring T-Rex nightmares. So, I mean, and that's for me. That's weird, right? Normally, a movie that gives you nightmares is one you wouldn't probably hold in high esteem, but
Right.
I
Right.
love that movie. Even it's because of how well it was done with the animatronic T-Rex. It's like that fucking.
For its time, it was amazing.
Oh, it
Yeah.
still
Like,
holds up, right?
super
The
It does.
animatronics
It
do,
still holds
so
up for sure.
not even a question that the original is the best. Fallen Kingdom as a follow-up, even to just Jurassic World. Not even really commenting on Jurassic World's like place in the whole series. As a sequel, Fallen Kingdom was it was poorly written. It was something I had to see. They know it too. I mean, like, make another one, guys. I'll go see it. Like, I
It
have.
doesn't
to.
help that Michael Crichton died, so now they're
Yeah.
just using his characters and themes and stuff, and just trying to.
Well, I mean,
Play
are we
off
doing
it.
spoilers in this?
Yeah, we can spoil. Spoiler alert from here on out. Tough luck. But yeah, I was gonna ask about a spoiler with what's his face, Jeff Goldblum. I heard that
Right.
Ian Malcolm was gonna be in it, and I was stoked to see it because of that. Then wasn't he just like a small part right at
Dude,
the
he
end?
was in the beginning. That's not him in it. He was a cameo. That's like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
stupid. He
retarded.
was in. If you have a like. You don't put Stan Lee in the Marvel commercials when he has a cameo. Like, they totally did it to
Right.
try and sucker people into going, and it almost worked.
Yeah,
on
that's
me.
the only reason I wanted to see it was because of him.
Same.
Oh well, you would have been very disappointed. So, I wanted to see it because it's a Jurassic Park title. I mean, I have to see those.
Was
Yeah.
it much different than the last one?
No, well, here's the thing, man. I feel like I'm gonna give you guys the whole plot. It doesn't.
Well,
It's
we got to
the
move it
entire
along a little
movie?
bit.
No. Generally, okay.
It takes
Obviously,
12
okay.
seconds. That's
Opening
let's
credits.
Guys,
Based
I won't do that.
on a novel by Michael Crichton.
I won't do that, but I'm gonna hit on the points like of why it was poorly done. Like, the last one ended with the actual theme park that was up and running, right? But then it went to shit, of course. Go figure.
Yeah.
And then in the next one, we got more scientists who want to use the dinosaur DNA for their own means.
These freaking scientists.
So
They never learn.
they go back to the island. They get the DNA from that bad one that fucked everything up in the last movie, and then
They make a bigger
They make
dinosaur?
another new dinosaur, and then
That's been like the last 4 of them.
dude, I know, and they do it again, and then what's his name? I should know this. Wow, from Parks and Rec.
Yeah. Chris.
Yeah, well that's
Blonde guy.
Chris. Wow, God, he's like the biggest
I know.
name right now.
I know his name. I know his
Chris,
name very well.
Worth M
No.
something.
Well, he
No.
plays Andy in Parks and Rec.
Good lord. How can?
Not Chris Pine. It's not Chris Evans. It's not.
Wow, guys.
Chris.
I'm
I cannot
googling.
believe
I'm
I can't look at
googling.
this. Anyways, I saw it.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, partially because of him. I mean, he's awesome.
He is.
Bryce Dallas Howard in it. Both they had. They're not the best actors, but they're very good. I like them.
Oh,
And anyways, the movie is about that. They end up. They reveal that John Hammond had another business partner, and this guy's old and dying.
Of course.
And then he's trying to like preserve the animals who survived, like that are still on the island,
Mm-hmm.
and he wants to ship them to a preserve on like another island, safe. Anyways, long chain of events. There's a bad guy who wants them for his own means, so he brings them to America and auctions them off to your highest bidder, crazy types who want ridiculous. Anyway, that goes wrong, of course. And then
There won't be a movie if it didn't go wrong.
Dinosaurs are just running around killing people. And then our heroes get away because Blue helps them. I mean,
Heroes get away because they're heroes.
our heroes get away because Blue helps them. But then literally it ends open-ended that there are just now dinosaurs running loose in the world. That's the ending.
Lord.
That's the
Did
ending.
they not realize
Oh.
there was a reason they made those dinosaurs on a remote
Right.
Yes,
island?
because it. Okay, so now they just left it open-ended, like, yep, we saved them,
Yeah.
but now they're loose. We let them out of the auction house so
comes
that
part
all these
4.
people didn't get them,
Yeah.
and now they're
Yeah.
literally there's Blue running up like the Rocky Mountains or some shit. It's in America. There's dinosaurs running around, and then Doctor Wu or whatever.
Runs right past Trump Tower.
Dr. Wu slinks off in the end. The guy who is the Asian mastermind. Anyways, that movie was incredibly predictable.
Just another reason to hate Asians, you know? That guy's a shady bastard.
Right.
Incredibly predictable, super hastily done. I mean, there's cool elements, which are why I had to see it. It had cool stuff. There was a cool part scene where they're like in a trailer with a sleeping T-Rex trying to get its blood. It's cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But did it need to exist?
no.
And I've got several movies in that category
No.
where it was like, it was a fun ride, but did it need to happen? No.
So it didn't need to happen. It wasn't well done. I watched it. I didn't hate it. I would end up probably watching it again someday.
Sure.
Number
two.
So what surprised me? Hang on, hold on.
All right.
What surprises me is they have not chosen to make the government weaponize them yet, have they?
Well, that's
or was
the whole-
that was
that's what they were
Jurassic
trying
World,
to do in
wasn't it?
Jurassic World. Yeah, but they didn't really get far with it because everything went to shit.
Obviously. The reason why these movies suck and the reason why Jurassic Park and Jurassic World were pretty decent was because Michael Crichton actually wrote those two, and
Lost
then they went
World.
to shit after that because he stopped writing them because he died. But
Yeah, Jurassic
I'm a
Park
huge-
1, The Lost
Usually stop
World,
writing
and then
after you die.
2, Jurassic Park, The Lost World were both very good. Jurassic Park 3 was a total cluster. It makes no
it was
sense.
a disaster.
I like how now
They
that
need to
we are
do
giving
is-
Cole the means of cussing and not editing it out, he's self-censoring. And
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna try to limit it to about under 20 fucks. So that's how
there's
many
one.
fucks I give.
man,
There's
there's
two.
two. Jeez.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, yes.
I'm
Movie
looking
didn't
forward
need
to
happen,
seeing
but-
the film. They need to cover. So it's mentioned in the original Jurassic Park movie, but unless you're like a true fan, you probably wouldn't catch it.
Spoken
nerd.
like a true
But
hipster.
Like a
there was
true
actually a theme park that John Hammond did before Jurassic Park, and I want them to cover this movie for him. I think it's really critical. He
Like a
talked
prequel?
about
Prequel?
yeah, like the first thing he did when he came to America was made a flea circus, and I'm like super excited.
Dude, I love what you just did there. Let's move on, though.
Right.
That
All
was
I was gonna
good.
say I don't remember that, but yeah, I
That
do
was
now.
good, Nathan. Very good.
Very nice.
Thanks.
I'm clapping.
All right, Cole, number 2. What do you got? We
We
cannot spend that much time on each one, otherwise
Okay.
we will be here literally all night.
This is like I said. This one and Fallen World or Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, are both movies that are within a franchise that I have to see. It doesn't matter what they do; they can make the next one entitled
the
This
new
is
Harry
garbage.
Potter movie.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. I could go on and on about this movie. I could go on and on
I
about
believe you.
the fact that they chose the Fantastic Beasts vehicle as a way to tell the story of the Grindelwald Dumbledore backstory. Why the hell are they using some
Anybody else
obscure
seen this movie?
reference?
No, I was gonna for this because I thought it was the first one. Then I realized it was the second one, so I was like, it's not even worth watching now.
Well,
Sorry, I'm behind. So
they
I'm
made a
never
lot
gonna
of.
watch it.
It's weird that they're using that J.K. Rowling is actually a part of the writing process in this. So
I wouldn't watch it because I don't approve of evil, satanic
funny.
witchcraft movies.
Haha. So the Harry Potter series, very, very near and dear to me. I remember reading it in school as they all came out. I really liked them.
That
They're cool.
explains a lot.
They're cool. Really into them.
Mm-hmm.
So the Fantastic Beasts movie that came out like 2 years ago or something, I was like, kind of neat, I guess. And then they threw in the fucking monkey wrench of having Johnny Depp be Grindelwald, the old bad wizard, because this is a prequel.
Right.
So these
so
series
you know
are
that they're going to
prequels
continue
to the Harry Potter.
since they threw Johnny Depp in there.
Right. So they threw Johnny Depp in as the main bad guy in the movie before this one. So
I
this
remember
is-
hearing you complain about that last year.
Yeah. Well, I'm still complaining.
That's
He
right.
did okay as the role. He didn't like Johnny Depp it, so which
Didn't ham it up too much.
he didn't Johnny Depp it too much. But the movie has a lot of holes plot wise, like, in the end of the last one, the Muggle that they befriend, like, so the non-magic person, like, is supposed to lose his memories, and then he ends up still having them in the next one, even though he's lost them at the end of the one before it, which makes no sense. There's just a lot of things that are like, why is it that way? These don't line up. That doesn't line up.
That's always...
That doesn't make sense. It really feels like J.K. Rowling is piecing things together now as she goes, because she is.
And she
you
can
can
and
tell.
People will all flock out and buy it. Just like Star
I
Wars.
hated that.
Just like Star
No,
Wars.
don't get there yet. So anyways. Yeah,
I hated the Harry Potter series just because there was so many plot holes from the book that you just had to know the references. And I watched it with like a true Harry Potter like avid reader, and it was constantly like, well, what did that mean? And it's
Cole
like,
takes offense
well,
to
if you read
calling
the
him
book,
not a
it's because
serious
this, and this.
reader.
Craig, you didn't read the books?
No, I have
Shut the
not
fuck
read
up.
the
We weren't
books.
allowed to, so it's all right.
I mean, it's okay. I've seen a comedian rip on the fact that I love this comedian's bit. He rips on the fact that Harry Potter is a straight. You sent me this, I think, Dan.
Straight rip off
maybe
of
I
Star
shared
Wars.
it. We shared it with each other somehow.
Yeah.
It rips off the Star Wars like storyline to a T. Yeah, that's why it's good. I mean,
If it
it's
ain't
just
broke.
Voldemort is Harry Potter's father?
no, he's not. But okay, so not to a T.
Space wizards or land wizards.
Very many things are similar. All the key elements are there, but
Yeah.
doesn't matter. This movie does a really bad job of making things line up, and
Get a make list.
It made number 2 on his
it
list.
made number 2 on my list. I only saw a few movies.
Only saw 3 movies.
Right.
You'll know why. Yeah, I'll tell you the other movies I saw, and after I get through my.
Yeah. Give us your number 1.
So, number 1 for me was Solo: A Star Wars Story because it's a Star Wars title. Did it do a lot of things wrong? Yes. Was it as bad as Rogue One? No fucking way.
Not even close.
Blows Rogue One out of the water. So a new Star Wars movie that's better than Rogue
course.
One, and yet it's not a part of the main saga.
Right.
I'm happy to have that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I really thought I would see that movie multiple times in theaters, like I have the other ones. I even saw Rogue One 2 or 3 times in theaters.
Yeah.
Just because I just wanted to. Like I
I just wanted to see
think
the
I was
opening
unemployed
crawl.
at the
That's all it
time,
takes.
so
And then they didn't have the opening crawl on these spin-offs, so I was
Right.
pissed.
What?
Craig hasn't even seen him. Craig, get out of here.
So, anyways,
I've seen parts of Rogue One and I fell asleep both times.
Sounds
so.
about right.
we
yeah.
recorded a whole thing about Solo, right?
What's that?
You and I recorded a reaction to Solo.
We did, yeah.
But I mean, everything still stands. I haven't had any different revelations about like what I think about it. I still think the movie it wasn't what we wanted exactly. It was kind of weird. I think the guy who played Han Solo did a good job. Obviously, we all loved seeing the Millennium Falcon become itself. The Kessel Run bit
Except
was weird.
for that it has a feminist brain now.
Yeah, that's a
That's
weird.
gay.
It's kind of a weird thing they tied in there. I don't.
Yeah, my biggest
Understand.
issue with the whole droid rights thing is now we have to look at Luke Skywalker as a slave master. But, you know, it is what it is.
Well,
Well,
you
have to,
you
and-
want to hear a more in-depth conversation about this movie, check out our episode on Solo: A Star
Check
Wars
out
Story.
Rotten
Right.
Potatoes Solo, a Star Wars story, but you have to join the Downers Club by going to patreon.com/the system is down and signing up for as little as $5 a month. That's right,
Thanks,
only a cup
Nathan.
of coffee
Or
a
you
month.
could hear my quick rundown
Thanks,
of what we
Nathan.
talked about, and that is that movie was pretty good.
Yeah.
Some weird shit happened, and
we can talk about this one for a bit because this one it actually didn't make my top 3. It
Really?
made my honorable mentions,
so
which
you
is
must have saw a lot
surprising.
more movies than me.
Yeah, and one of the movies that made my top 3 I just watched today actually. So
Wow.
it would have been in my top 3 had I not watched a couple other movies. But yeah, I would agree. It was like, in my opinion, it was good. It was a good, decent movie. Like everybody shat on it, but it's like the bar is always set pretty high with Star Wars movies. So you're expecting a whole lot,
Yeah.
especially with a Han Solo movie. But it's
Right.
like, did it need to exist? No. Was it fun and an enjoyable watch? Yes. Did the guy look like Han Solo? Who cares?
No, yeah, I
Who
mean,
cares?
it's like you could answer all those questions and come up with an annoying algorithm for how you feel about it. But honestly, I liked the movie. I will always like Star Wars titles unless they just I like Rogue One.
Yeah.
But Rogue One
I
is
don't.
the worst movie in the franchise, in my opinion.
I can tolerate Rogue One. Like if somebody said, "Hey, let's watch all the Star Wars movies in a couple days," like I would throw it in there. I'd be fine with that. But
Yeah.
I'm never gonna go out and watch it on
That's
my
the
own.
one where you're gonna like go pee.
Exactly. You
gotta
need a break
shit,
in there
eat
sometime,
shit,
and it's
go make
it's
some
it's
food.
right after the
Carry on
prequels.
conversation during the movie.
It's right after the
Right.
prequels. So that's a good place to go grab some food and come
Yeah.
back. In the third act when
Rogue
Darth
One
Vader
is a
comes
good
in.
intermission in the catalog of going through all the Star Wars movies in like one sitting or something. So
Well, you drink a lot
I-
during episode 1, and then you leave during episode 2. Then you come back somewhere in episode 3. Then you're hungry.
at the very
so-
beginning of episode 3, because that one is amazing. So, anyways,
Sure, that's fair. It's fine. It's
So
a
Solo, a
it's a
Star
really
Wars
good
story.
video game movie, but we're not here to talk about
Solo: A Star
My-
Wars Story takes my number one spot just because Star Wars is so important. Like it over those two, it's kind of easy over those two.
Right.
But these are.
Is there anything else that you watched this year?
Should I,
that
would you like me to say what I think the worst movies I
Sure.
saw were that I wouldn't even put in my top 10 or next? I could tell you that,
that
next.
you wouldn't
or tell
even watch
you-
again?
I'm sorry.
Just
top
rattle
10.
them off.
Go for it.
So there were two movies I saw this year that just absolutely sucked, and I don't know why I wasted my time on them. One of them was called A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh,
Did you guys see that shit?
I haven't, but I've heard.
No.
I've heard tell, and I loved that book as a kid, so I'm disappointed.
I didn't read the book as a kid.
you didn't read the book?
No.
I'm kidding. Okay.
I was with Dory, Chrissy's mother, and Chrissy, and they had both, I think, read it. At least Dory had.
Yeah.
And we just happened to let's turn it on. We're just sitting around, let's turn it on. And then we watch it, and I'm like, this makes no goddamn sense, like, at all. It's incredibly stupid. Even Dory was like, that sucked. Like, I was so excited for this.
And
she
Dory
hated it.
is like the most child of all of you. Like has the heart of a child, and she still thought it sucked.
It sucked, dude.
That's
That
impressive.
movie was dumb.
That's
and then
impressive.
it just didn't make sense. And The Incredibles 2. That did not need to happen. It was incredibly stupid. Incredibly. Huh.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was well made, but not.
No.
It didn't need to happen. I
Why
agree.
the hell they acted like the hype, the weight was on purpose? Because when they would show previews, they would actually have the actors talking about
Right.
like how great this is going to be. So of course it was hyped up. They didn't even have to do that, and it was going to be hyped up.
Right.
Well, they overhyped it up.
They did.
It was insane.
They
And then
opened
literally,
with,
it is
like-
the same exact movie, except swap roles with Elastigirl and in Mr. Incredible.
Yep.
Same goddamn movie. And there are so
Yep.
many the like young kids with superpowers that they meet, like would have been the ex machina of the climax if they just used their powers. They
true.
could have
Would have
actually
been the Avengers Infinity War.
right the portal girl who could make portals could have stopped the whole ship thing from happening. Right, that was stupid. That movie sucked.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest letdown, I think.
For more on what I think on on what was that movie? Incredibles 2, you can go listen to me and Remzo cover it at every time we bring up a movie that we've actually already reviewed. I'm just going to throw it back to the Downers Club. Nathan is gone. Where'd Nathan go?
He just got bored.
So the last
Makes
thing I have
sense.
to say about movies was
He
just
was in the middle of texting.
that I can't believe I haven't seen it yet, and
Respect.
it's got amazing reviews. And if I had seen it, it probably would have been my number one, and that's Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see
Oh,
it. I've been waiting for the right time to see it. I wanted to go like on a weekend night, like with IMAX. Just I haven't had the chance yet.
Let's go. That's on
I-
my to watch list.
I
too.
really wanted to watch it, and literally every
That's
review
on my list.
Hey, no spoilers, Craig.
Sorry.
every review
You
says it
spoiled.
was like the best movie. They just didn't want it to end.
No, I mean no spoilers about what's going to happen in this episode. You can spoil the movie, and that's fine.
Sorry.
Ask for it.
It's not hard to spoil. You just have to know anything about Freddie Mercury, and
He dies eventually.
there, he doesn't die in the movie. There's your spoiler.
Oh fuck.
I was looking forward to
Um,
that part the most. Dang it.
I won't spoil like some of the parts, but I'll just brief the parts that we all should know about. If you don't, then don't bother to watch
We'll get
the movie.
there. Cole, did you have anything else, or was that your hate list?
Yeah, that's it, man. I
Shit
I
list.
didn't see a lot of 2018 movies, so
It's all good. It's all good. Who wants to go next? If nobody, I will.
I'll go next.
All right,
I'll go
Craig.
next.
Pick it up.
All
your number three?
right. Like I said, it took me a while to come up with a list of movies because I haven't seen that many, and
You
I've
just
seen
watched
even
3
less good
movies today, and you're going to rank those.
Yes, exactly. No, the one movie I actually saw in the theater was a really good movie. It's called Tag. It's about a group of adults who went to college together, and it's based on a true story. Went to college together, and they started this worldwide game of tag, which happens like one day a year.
It's like The Purge.
Yeah, exactly. Except so these guys live on opposite sides all over the country, and on this one day they will just fly across the country and just get into this massive game of tag with each other, and it's super hilarious. One guy in it has never been beat, and the whole film is like the other. I think there's 3 other guys
It looked
basically
a lot
trying
like
to.
the Hangover type stuff. Is it similar to that?
Yeah, it's
Bloody
pretty
comedy
similar
of the
to that.
summer.
Right, and it's pretty similar to that type of atmosphere, but you should definitely see it. My recaps probably aren't going to be as extensive as Cole's because I'm not Cole.
Not as passionate about the movies that you kind of like.
Or passionately angry about them, but no, it was a funny movie. It's just been probably 6 months since I've seen it, and I didn't go back and recap everything to know what to talk about. My number 2 is actually, it was released in December of last year. I didn't watch it till this year. What's that?
What was 3?
3 was Tag.
Oh, sorry.
Tag.
Yeah,
Goodness.
there was a break.
You forgot everything. So what are we doing, guys?
Yeah.
So number 2 came out in December of last year, but I didn't watch it. It didn't come out on DVD until this year, so I'm counting it. It is The Greatest Showman, and it is absolutely great in my opinion. Even though it does glorify the mistreatment of odd people and people with deformities and
So like
black people and
retro like freak show style stuff.
Yes.
yes, yeah, it's
Barnum and Bailey.
if you don't know what it is, it's based on
PT.
it's very roughly based on the life of P.T. Barnum and starting the greatest show on Earth or whatever he called it.
Hugh Jackman,
And
right? Or Greatest Showman.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman. He does really good, and it's odd to me that Hugh Jackman
The Greatest
as
Jackman.
Wolverine is such a fantastic singer. He has an amazing singer voice, and I found that originally he was in the remake of Les Mis, I think, which was like 2 or 3 years ago. It was him and the guy from Gladiator. What's that guy's name? Russell Crowe. Is that him?
Sure.
I think he's in it. He's not nearly as he's a good singer, but he's like really stiff and awkward when he sings. But Hugh Jackman is just like made for musicals for whatever reason. It's just like I never would have pictured Wolverine to have the voice of an angel, but he does.
Right. Yeah.
And the storyline I think is great. Even though yes, I guess you could make the argument that they are
Shut up about it.
praising.
It happened.
this
Okay.
outrage.
It happened. And
Yeah.
he gave them
And-
jobs. Where else was the bearded lady going to get a job?
Right, exactly. Maybe in some weird fetish movies, but
Different time.
oh, gotcha. So
They didn't have the
yeah.
same websites they have today, like beardedladies.com.
the movie, gross. The movie, the storyline is great. It centers around. It starts out when he created this wax museum, and then it was starting to go. It was successful for a little bit, and then it started to go downhill. So he decided to turn it into his circus or freak show or whatever you want to call it, and that did great. And then it started doing terrible, and he almost went bankrupt. And then he kind of came back and made it what it is and made it last. And so it's good. If you haven't seen it, you really should. The music is awesome in it.
Yeah, I've
It's
actually
got-
listened to the soundtrack and love it, but I've been meaning to watch the movie and still haven't.
Yeah, it's normally I wouldn't get songs from movies stuck in my head and sing them constantly, but these are songs that
Let it
even as an
go.
adult. Yeah, well, yeah, obviously that song I sing every day, but I thought that was a given. I thought we all did that, but
Of course.
this one has. I mean, if their songs didn't win a bunch of awards, they should have. But
Yeah,
I'm
they've
sure
already
they-
done a remake album that has like Pink and dude from Panic at the Disco like covering the songs and stuff.
Brandon.
Which I've heard the Brendan Urie version of Greatest Showman, and it's fantastic. But yeah,
I just haven't heard that because I listen to all things Brendan Urie. Because speaking
we'll
of
get to
Brendan
music
Urie,
later. What?
this has nothing to do with movies, but I did see on Facebook today that Panic at the Disco is talking about releasing some of their songs in metal form.
Why?
He's releasing a metal album, one of the two. I can't remember if it's his old songs or he's doing a metal album.
If it's like new material, I'd be into it. But if it's just covers of your old stuff, then just don't. Just leave it alone.
It's covers of their old stuff.
Just don't George Lucas your life. But anyway, Craig, what is your number one movie of the year?
My number one pick, I bet you can't guess based on the rest of this conversation tonight the two that I've already said.
I would be willing to bet my bottom dollar and top that it is Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah, no.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody is my... And I would have picked this as number one even if I hadn't seen it, just because I would have known. I would have loved it. I did not go see it in theaters. I did obtain it other ways because I wanted to watch it that bad.
You wanted to watch it so bad that you didn't go to the theater to see it. You sat on your couch. That's how bad
I was watching I was watching YouTube videos of Freddie Mercury and Queen, and then like an ad came up, and I'm like, I really want to go see this, but I think it was like Thanksgiving week. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna get time to go see this. So I downloaded it that night and watched it like 5 minutes later. And I wish I had seen it first in the theater because I think it would have been so much better. But even the download copy was amazing. I didn't have high expectations for Rami, whatever his name, Rami Malek. There you go, Rami Malek.
Why not?
I didn't have high expectations because I don't think he just doesn't look that as much like everyone's like, oh, he's the spitting image of Freddie Mercury. No, I don't think so.
Dude,
the mustache.
Name one other actor who comes close.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Okay, and they had him.
Yes,
he was.
But he wanted to.
Besides,
he wanted to take it in a different direction and focus more on the party life of Freddie Mercury, and that's not the direction they wanted to go. So they canned him.
The pictures side by side of Rami Malek and Freddie Mercury when Rami is in
I think he's
makeup and he's all dressed up. That's fucking good.
I think he's closer to Freddie Mercury than what's his face is to Harrison Ford for Han Solo.
Oh yeah, well, way more.
Probably true. But my biggest thing was the mustache they used looked way too fake. It's like this is Hollywood. You could have done a better job with a mustache.
Freddie Mercury's mustache looked fake, though.
That is true.
No, Freddie Mercury's mustache was better than freaking
it was a fuzzy
Nathan's
black cat
mustache.
It looked fake.
However,
Nathan says one thing this whole time. Wait, what?
However, like I said, leading into watching it, I thought I'd be disappointed in their choice because I have such high opinions of Freddie Mercury. But watching the movie, you completely forget that Rami Malek is not Freddie Mercury because he does such a phenomenal acting job. The best thing that I've seen on a screen ever was the remake of the 1985 Live Aid concert because that concert I have watched more times on YouTube than I've ever watched anything else on YouTube. I've watched that probably 20 different times because it's got to be the best live concert that has ever existed. And then number two, whoever they hired for choreographer or a movement coach for Remy or whatever, they were spot on. I watched a YouTube video of a side-by-side performance of Freddie Mercury doing the Live Aid concert and then Remy acting the Live Aid concert, and it is just movement for movement perfect. Like the way he walks, the way he moves his hands, the way his facial reactions, his expressions, everything was just spot on. And it's just like you completely forget you're not actually watching Queen here, you're watching a bunch of actors doing it.
Right.
And it's really good. And they really capture, because on the actual video of the concert, you can see all the people doing the moves and stuff, but the movie captures, because there was hundreds of thousands of people there, I'm just going to say that's probably way over exaggerated, but there's just a ton of people there.
Billions.
They capture the ridiculous noise of every single person in that stadium singing these songs with them. They like kind of pan out above the stadium and you can just hear it echoing off the city, just people screaming these songs. And it's just like, I couldn't imagine being in that situation, realizing, if you hadn't realized before, realizing at that moment, you fucking made it, dude. And
right.
Like there's no other way to express success than seeing that many thousands of people singing and dancing and doing the moves that you wrote and created. And the backstory too is always interesting to me. Like, I love, another one of my favorite movies is Walk the Line, about Johnny Cash.
Love
because
that
they
movie.
get into his backstory, they get into the shit of his life and stuff like that. And they did that with this movie. It starts out when he first joins the band. I'm not going to give spoilers, don't worry, Cole. But it starts
He
with
doesn't die.
him joining the band. What's that?
He doesn't die.
Thanks.
He doesn't die. They do show him when he finds out he has AIDS, though. Spoiler alert: Freddie
He
had
gets
AIDS.
AIDS?
Sad. Yeah,
Yeah,
we all knew that.
yeah. That was the big plot twist that threw me through a loop. But they show him putting on his flamboyant costumes, and they're like, "What the hell are you wearing, dude?" And he's like, "I gotta make an appearance, and I gotta be recognized."
Yeah.
And it shows like some strife between them and a record label. And this was in the preview, so this isn't really spoiler. My favorite part's when the guy's like, 6 minutes is way too long of a song to put on the radio. And Freddie's like, if 6 minutes is a long time, I feel sorry for your wife.
Yeah.
And I hope that was a line that he said in real life, because
I heard that, yeah. I remember seeing that. That would have been hilarious if he really had been
Right.
quoted as doing that.
Yeah. So, Craig, did you have any honorable or dishonorable mentions?
I did watch a couple shitty movies with friends this year. I can't remember any of them except one I just watched this last weekend at a friend's house. It was called Searching. Have any of you heard of the movie Searching?
Nope.
Well, it's about this guy who his wife had died.
But he's
I am
dead
going to
for her.
spoil this
Is that the
one, 'cause
prequel
I
to
know you won't
Finding?
watch it. Exactly.
Sequel.
It's about this guy whose wife had died before the movie
Oh, wait.
actually opens. They kind of show some brief clips at the beginning of her, and then the whole story is his daughter goes missing, and he uses her social media account to.
will kill you.
You would think. He uses her social media account to kind of find her and track her down. The movie opens up with.
So it's like Taken, but he doesn't have a particular set of skills. He
No,
just looks
just-
on Facebook.
Yeah. No, he does have a particular set of skills. The movie opens up with family videos on a computer, and then he's FaceTiming his daughter, and this is just a computer screen you're seeing on this opening. And you see him chatting with his daughter and chatting with other people on Facebook Messenger or whatnot. And you're like, okay, this is kind of an interesting opening, until you realize the entire movie is on a computer screen or a phone screen or a camera screen.
That
The
sounds
whole
terrible.
movie. And
So
he's
it's
going
like
back and forth.
today's version of found footage.
Yeah, but it's all on a freaking computer.
Right.
It's just like, dude, if you spent less time on your computer, maybe your daughter wouldn't have fucking disappeared. And he's like FaceTime, like when he's communicating with the police officers, he's FaceTiming them from his computer. It's like, that's not real life. You wouldn't be FaceTiming a police officer. Like, give me a break. And it's just the entire movie. The only time it cuts away from either his phone or his computer is they will air footage from a security camera. So from the view of like a TV monitor or something. So the whole thing is you're watching a screen watching a screen on your screen the entire movie. And it would have been a good, decent story had that not existed, but that just freaking ruined the whole thing. And it got to the end. It's just like, oh, I cannot do this anymore. This is just freaking ridiculous. Whoever
Was
had this
the
idea.
story
was-
okay? Or was the whole
Like-
thing garbage?
Like I said, the story would have been, all right. I mean, I probably would have watched the movie with the story, but I mean, it's not something I would have went to see in theaters even without that. And that part alone, you were just waiting at the beginning for it to cut to the real movie, and about 5 minutes in, you start to wonder.
Oh, this is what this
I
is. Okay.
think this is it right here, and it never leaves the screen. And that is my shit movie for the year 2018.
Very nice. Now, Nathan, wake up from your sleepy nap and let us know your number 3 favorite movie of the year.
All right. I'm not sleeping. I'm just patient.
I zoomed in on you. I was trying to get it while you were yawning there a second ago, but it was right after you were yawning. But
Yeah, so I'm going to do what Craig actually said he was going to do and keep it short.
That was
he
short,
kept it short up
Nathan.
until he got to the one that he actually cared about.
I think Cult took 12 minutes, and pretty sure
For a
Quick
movie.
took 15. Um, so yeah, I also didn't see that many movies this year. Probably about 5 new movies. And um, Dan, you're probably going to share at least one of these with me. But I think we saw most of these movies together. But the one, was Thor this year or was that last year?
I believe that was last year.
Um, so number 3 would be Black Panther. I thought it was a pretty great, overall pretty great movie, and generally I liked the fact that they gave a complex anti-hero, which is something that, for instance, Jurassic World completely lost.
Sure.
It was a one-dimensional
Yeah.
villain.
I'm bad because
Yeah.
I'm evil,
Exactly.
and because of that, I
overall-
hate you.
Overall, really good movie. You know, I don't know, just
I liked it.
solid movie.
Yeah,
That was
I-
the movie that was the movie I almost watched within the last couple of days because I thought it would probably make my list if I had seen it because I had heard good stuff about it.
It was really good. Yeah, it's a good movie. I wouldn't go like crazy, but
Yeah, I think
liked
it was a little overhyped, but I thought it was still really solid for a Marvel movie. Most Marvel movies are generally overhyped, but yeah, I mean, I have some issues with it, but yeah, I definitely liked that they had the complex villain that you actually gave a crap why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. And then I would say also quick runner-up would definitely be Solo. I would throw that on my list, but it was just another movie that it was fun, but it
So that's
wouldn't.
beneath Black Panther for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2 movie would be Avengers: Infinity War Part 1. I really like that it was open-ended. I like that they killed off a lot of characters. I like that
They had a
they
complex
just-
villain.
Yeah, exactly. I empathized more with Thanos than probably any villain. I mean, at least within recent history of movies.
Same. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I that would be a movie that I would put up there saying like it would probably last. You know, it'll be more lasting than a lot of other movies that came out this year.
Or you think
But-
Ant-Man versus the Wasp or Ant-Man and the Wasp isn't going to hold up? I haven't even seen it. I didn't really care
Yeah,
to see it.
I haven't even seen that either. And also, I just want to say there are a lot of movies that I wanted to see this year. I just didn't get the chance to. So there are others
Right.
that maybe.
You are welcome to
would've-
list a couple of those too if you want, because I've got a few
Right.
that I'm going to throw in there.
Yeah, I was mostly because some of those you guys were already talking about off the top of my head. I was excited to see Incredibles 2. I was excited to see
Whoops.
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I kind of zoned out when you were talking about it. Plus, I've heard so much about it, I probably wouldn't have lost.
Yeah.
Also, I was excited to see the Queen movie. I
We
don't even
talked about
remember
that
what-
too. I don't know if you heard.
Yeah, I was here.
Okay.
There's a couple others that you guys talked about. I was kind of excited to see, but yeah, just didn't get a whole lot of time to do so.
Sure.
But anyway, yeah, Avengers. I liked it because it kind of took the formula that you need, and because it's a two-parter, just kind of said "fuck you" to that formula.
Yep.
And I liked that. It ended, and my wife was like, "What?" I'm like, "Yes, this
I
is what
loved
I've
the
always
ending. I
wanted."
thought the ending was perfect.
Yeah.
Like everybody's
There was
like
The
bitching
only
about
one.
these people dying. It's like you know that they're not killing off Spider-Man after his first movie. That was a huge hit.
Yeah.
You know that they're not killing off Black Panther after his first movie, which was a huge hit. Like,
Yeah.
come on, it's pretty obvious what's happening here.
Yeah, exactly. There's probably only one other movie that I ever saw that kind of gave me that same like, yeah, I like this feeling at the end, and it was
Empire Strikes Back.
well,
Just kidding.
maybe. It was an art film that I watched in a tent in Bushnell, Illinois at Cornerstone with probably like 6 other people.
Could you
And-
sound any more like a hipster right now?
Oh,
I could probably. The
shit.
film was all in Hebrew and
Oh, dear
subtitled,
God.
and it was
Lord.
about
He
band
did.
leader.
It was about
And
what?
basically, it was just really depressing. It was a band leader of this guy who had this like small like orchestra and they toured around and played different cities, and he has this short relationship with this woman, and then it ends up in a horrible spot. And at the end, there's like no resolve. It's just all like, hey, this is just how life is sometimes. It's
I
kind of
like the
shitty.
sad endings,
Yeah, and
especially
so
when you're not expecting them, like in Avengers.
Yeah.
sometimes people
I
suck.
agree. like a blockbuster box office seller like
Right,
that, where you're like, yeah, it's
summertime,
probably
where you know they're taking their kids out to see it, and the kids are like, "Why is Spider-Man dead?" Well, I guess we'll find out next year, son.
so I really enjoyed that, and I thought it did a lot of things that I appreciated on that front. And then number one, Dan,
Imagining
you're
the
probably,
sad children was what really sold the movie
Yeah,
for me.
right, way too much.
Made me enjoy it way more. But
Yeah. Dan, we're probably going to have this movie on your list. We saw this together, and we shared a lot of the same feelings on it. But number one for me is going to be A Quiet Place.
motherfucker,
Oh yeah, that's one I want to see.
motherfucker.
I just
I don't even
So-
know what
You
that
just
is.
stole basically my whole
John
list. That's cool.
Krasinski. That's a horror movie, a horror suspense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Just to give it for anybody who maybe didn't catch this, I don't know. You may have been sleeping, but you really should have given this your full attention.
Yeah.
It kind of flew by night in a certain sense, and I could see where it would go under your radar for good reason. But it was basically a horror kind of thriller that was The Office that you just started watching there, Craig.
What?
Yeah. Remind me what that is again.
Okay.
The Office
I'm
has
just
got
kidding.
that one dude Jim who's always playing the pranks on the other dude.
I think his
twice.
name's
He's my-
Jim
he's my hero.
Krasinski.
Yeah,
He's my hero.
it was directed by and starring John Krasinski, who plays Jim from The Office. So
He
not
directed
exactly a prime candidate for
Yes.
horror thriller movie. But it was actually also written. The script was written by a few people who are local, which was pretty cool as well.
Mhm.
Local being Davenport, Iowa, for those of you who are, not in our area listening.
Where's that?
It is
Shut up, Craig.
in the U.S.
Iowa.
This movie was great. I'm not typically a fan of horror movies, and it's not because I don't like the medium. It's because I always feel like they're done very poorly. They don't respect the audience as
Yes,
being
jump
people who-
scares.
Yeah, exactly.
It-
And I just require a little bit more out of. If I'm going to give my time to something, I want you to respect that time, and I want
They're
you
not
to.
written. Sorry, delay. But they're not written for people who actually look ahead and can see what's coming. Because
Right.
it's like, oh, the music's picking up. Something's going to pop out at us.
Yeah.
Oh, but there it is. And there's always that chick
Pretend like
that
you're
screams.
surprised.
Yeah, there's
Mhm.
always a chick that screams or jumps out of her seat. It's like, really? You didn't see that?
And then
about to happen?
the jump scare string noises and stuff that it's just like, in case you weren't scared, just so you know, that's where you were supposed to be scared. It's like you couldn't make the scare; you had to tell us you're scared. It's like the laugh track of horror movies.
Yeah, it's like ever since Halloween or any of those earlier movies like that. Like if you're not doing something new, I'm not interested at all. And so generally, I'm not interested in horror or thriller movies, anything like that, because
I still
Again,
am, even
don't-
when it's bad, but that's fine.
yeah, yeah, I guess I get that. But for me, I value my time more than wanting to sit down to a movie that's not going to respect me. Whereas this movie definitely did. And it's not just like, I will say this, it's a monster film. It's the traditional thing of, keep the monster away from the audience as long as possible, but it's done well. And
Yes.
basically the premise being that there's a creature that operates on sound, and so all of the characters have to be very quiet. John Krasinski
Yeah,
has a family.
It not only doesn't have like the scary soundtrack and the scary jump scares, it has almost no sound throughout the entire movie. Like almost no dialogue even.
awkward
It's
enough, yeah.
fantastic.
When we went to see the movie, there was an adjacent theater that was playing something like Prometheus or something with like
jeez.
crazy loud bass, and
You could
it
hear it.
was like the whole movie. Our movie had almost no sound, but we could just hear the subwoofers roaring from the adjacent theater.
It was
Should've
hard to
planned
tell
out
if
the
it
mapping
was
of those showings.
it was hard to tell if it was like a part of the movie or not, because you could. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like so loud that it was overbearing, but it was like you just hear faint rumbling. It's like,
Yeah.
is this happening? Because they're just walking down the road.
Exactly. Yeah. So really, what I like about this movie is it's really focused on his family and the dynamic therein. They just happen to be living in this world where this thing is a reality, and they're trying to cope with it. So
Well, you would
it's
love
really,
this movie because it really just like it's super claustrophobic and focuses on just the family, kind of like Signs. Like
Yeah.
I kind of
Mhm.
compare
I
it
really wanted to
to
see this
that
movie,
very
and
much.
honestly, I forgot about
had a
it.
feeling of Signs very much, and the interesting thing
Still wanna
is
see it.
Dan, bringing up the comparison to Signs, it really did feel like an early Shyamalan film,
Yeah.
which is crazy because I would not expect that kind of.
I think in our review of it, I said it was like a combination of like M. Night Shyamalan film meets like Aliens meets Jurassic Park or something. So
Yeah.
it was fantastic.
So anyway, just to cut that short, that was a good movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Check Amazon or Netflix or wherever you can. It's worth watching, and do yourself a favor and just watch it with the lights off at night in a quiet room, because this is not a movie where you want background noise on. It's really dependent on you just
Watch it
giving
with
it
like isolation headphones on.
I have a question about. Actually, I have a couple questions. One about this movie, that would it be something to watch with really good sound system so that when there is
Yes.
sound, it's really
Yeah, I said in our review, which you can find by going to, just kidding. I said that like the best actor in the movie is the sound guy, because the sound design in this movie is insane. Like it
You
gives
guys
you so
probably
much suspense, and like things are placed in such a way that it builds without doing the typical cheesy things that you expect.
Yeah, so I don't have any specific examples in mind, but just knowing the internet the way it is, you can probably go on YouTube and find like, horror movie without the music or horror movie without the sound, and it totally changes it. Like there are some movies that almost would have not happened without the soundtrack or the sound effects. And with horror movies, it's all about the music, all about the sound effects. If you take that away, it just isn't really the same. And this movie, like Dan said, if there's a star of the movie, it's the sound team. Like this entirely depended on the sound being used thoughtfully, and more than anything, like knowing when not to have sound, which is the majority of the movie.
It sounds like
but
a very like the same sort of principles you want to apply to good music in a way. Like know when to bring it down. Know when to.
Yeah,
100%.
this is
So,
also John Krasinski. It's his directorial debut, right?
Wow.
yeah,
And
it is.
like
Made
for
it
him to
work.
do a horror thriller suspense movie right
They
out the
did
gate,
really well.
and for it to like just blow everybody's mind because it's so unique and so
I
awesome.
think it would have been like a comedy
great.
or something.
Right, yeah.
Also, totally, this totally blew past my mind, but his wife in the movie is his wife in real life as well.
Yeah.
So it's a team
And
there.
the deaf girl in the movie is deaf in real life too.
Yes,
Fun facts.
yeah, she. So I mean, there's a lot of different things that are really cool about it, but him acting adjacent to his wife was really cool as well.
Right.
For sure. Well, is that all you got, Nathan?
Yeah, that's it for me.
Was Bohemian Rhapsody in your list?
It was on
that
his
was
to-watch list.
I wanted to see.
You haven't seen it,
Didn't get around to it.
Dan. You hadn't seen it either.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Here's my list. So, coming in at number 3 is Avengers Infinity War, which we have already spoken about. Thank you very much, Nathan. I thought it was great. I thought that they pulled off things that were cinematically impossible, and I am almost never overly impressed by Marvel movies. I like them okay, but I went into it not expecting the hype to be met, and it was, and I was very impressed. Cole, did you even see that movie?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked because I'm really surprised that you saw it because I thought we were pretty much similar on the fact that, well, for me, I dropped off the Marvel, DC, anything, like watching those movies.
Yeah,
a
I
long
have for the
time
most
ago.
part. Like, if there's one that's got as much hype as that one, I'll give it a shot and see what's going on. I watched Black Panther too, but
Yeah, like I don't remember the most recent Marvel or Avengers or whatever the hell movie. I know I saw
it's actually the first Avengers movie I've ever watched.
I remember
watched-
watching the first Avengers where Loki's the
Yep.
bad guy. That's it.
That's the last
Loki
one
dies.
I watched. The whole set was
Yeah, me too. I
was
haven't even
that one,
seen
and then-
Deadpool, and everybody loves Deadpool.
Me neither.
I've never seen
I've meant to go watch them, but I feel I have to watch them in order. So
Yeah.
I
That's the
intentionally
problem with
didn't
Marvel
go see
movies.
Infinity War.
The problem with Marvel movies is like, where do I start? Because there's like a million of them, plus the series and the spin-offs and everything.
Yeah.
Where do you start? Where do you end? Do you go all the way back to Iron Man or the Hulk or what?
Yeah, like and just with how many Spider-Man reboots there have been.
I thought Homecoming was surprisingly good.
I didn't watch that shit. I'm like, fuck another goddamn Spider-Man reboot.
That was my thought
Fuck
too.
that.
Trying to get your
Actually-
quota in there, Cole.
Fuck.
I think that's 2. Anyway, Dan,
Yeah.
It's like
what was
5.
your number 2?
Anyway, yeah, Avengers: Infinity War. I would highly recommend it, even if you're not like a big Marvel person. I think it's great just on its own, mostly because of Thanos. I thought that. I mean, the movie has its issues. I think there are a lot of stupid things in the movie, but the villain is basically the star of the movie, and you care about why he's doing what he's doing, and you care you care about whether or not they defeat him. So there's that. If you'd like to hear my full Avengers: Infinity War review, just
No.
kidding. My number 2, I just watched today, and it was one that I had on my list for a while because I'd heard people raving about it, and it's another horror one that I feel
The
like
Nun?
flew under everybody's one that flew under everybody's radar. Like I didn't hear really much buzz at all, except for
You just said you heard all kinds of people saying good stuff about it.
okay, I heard like I go to like Collider and like different movie reviewers and stuff. They were talking about it, but I didn't hear about people in real life, or I didn't see any ads
Pick a
for it or
lane.
anything. But it's called Hereditary. Any of you guys hear of this movie?
Oh,
Yeah.
I've not even heard of it.
I heard about that shit. I heard that was crazy.
It was creepy as balls. I'm not going to spoil it because there's this movie and a movie that is on my to watch list. I heard people say this is really good. You should check it out, and I didn't want to know anything about it because I like going into movies like that. Like I like going into them blind when it's something that's like psychological, creepy stuff.
Dude.
And it definitely paid off. Like some of the stuff that they did with the camera work, I have never seen in a movie. Some of the stuff that they did with the style and the pacing of the movie, I've never seen in a movie. And some of the visuals, it was just really well put together. And the storyline wrecks you. Like if you're not a fan of like something that will make you, a little devastated throughout. If you don't want to be miserable while watching a movie, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. But I enjoy that type of thing that makes you just really uncomfortable.
I honestly think that's one of the best things you can do.
Yeah.
For entertainment wise, is to go into a movie on someone you respect's recommendation, totally blind.
Yep.
Because a lot of times, most times, probably 9 times out of 10, people go to the movies or even watch a movie at home is because they know they're gonna like it, or they have they saw the trailer, they're like, oh, I know what that movie's about, generally, so I'd like to see that. When you just I don't know how to say it. You go into the movie pure, it's just cold turkey, like, here we go. I don't really know.
I hate that.
I think it's one
love
of the
it.
best things you can do, man. It's like,
I'll end up
To know that
looking
you
up.
have
You have
premise
no
is one
expectations.
thing.
You don't know what's going to happen. Like every surprise is a genuine surprise because you didn't even know who was in this movie or anything about it.
No, for sure.
If I haven't seen the preview, I will go and read like the little overview online of just what I'm getting myself into before
I
I'll
don't
see
do
a
it in
movie.
theaters. Like if I'm going to a movie in theaters, I don't do that.
Oh,
Like,
exactly.
If I'm downloading a movie to watch, I'll
That's where I
go
wanted
into
to
it blind.
stress the whole on the word of someone you trust.
Right.
Like-
However, A Quiet Place I went into pretty blind. I didn't look
Yeah.
up anything about it. I didn't want to know. I was like, people are raving about this movie. It was made by John Krasinski.
Well, you
Looks
knew
awesome.
that from those details that John Krasinski wasn't going to let you down, man. Come on.
He never has, but I've never watched all of his war drama stuff either.
Oh, the Jack Ryan thing.
Yeah, I
I
don't know
haven't
anything
watched
about
that
it.
either.
All right, so there's that one. I would say, without spoiling anything, that the ending I felt was weird. It was fine and good, but it was very strange, and it wasn't what I was expecting, which not necessarily in a great way. But
This is Hereditary.
yeah, it was fine at the end. It was just very, very bizarre and a little hard to wrap your brain around. But
It's
all in
a
all,
horror, right? So, and then with a title like that, and from what I've understood from just the bit of like talking I've heard about it, which is not much,
Yeah.
is it supposedly like how
Don't
do
say
you,
anything.
How do you inherit like
well,
like
The name-
haunting?
the
Is it
name
like
is-
inherited haunting type shit. Or
I don't really want to
possession.
say. I don't want to ruin it. I want everybody
Okay.
to watch it the same way I did,
Alright.
with very little information. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Definitely give it like a 8 or 9 out of 10. My number one movie of the year was A Quiet Place. Thank you, Nathan, for screwing up another one of my choices.
Oh.
But great
We're
movie.
just similar taste.
Yeah, it's true. Great movie, highly recommend, and I agree with everything Nathan said about watch it by yourself. Watch it the way horror movies are supposed to be watched, especially good ones, in a dark room, possibly even by yourself or with a loved one who squeeze you tight when they're afraid. Seriously, I didn't mention this earlier, but that movie, like, so when I go to the theater, I'll get a beer and maybe two because I'll drink them quickly throughout. I ended up having like half my beer left at the end of the movie because I was like it has you so locked in for the whole thing. I wasn't even thinking about the things around me.
Nobody in the theater like dared make a noise to like eat their popcorn or drink their, like
people are like, they
everybody
pick up their
would just
popcorn
sit
like,
there quiet. Yeah,
they're like, shut up.
It's gonna get us.
If you were in the front corner, could hear somebody in the back corner. It was that much silence
Right.
during that movie.
I take a drink of my beer and it's like,
Yeah.
so that's my number one. As far as honorable mentions, I have a few. My number 4 would be a tie between Solo and Venom. Actually, I just watched Venom today.
One that
too.
I want to see. I
Venom-
wasn't even sure if it was out yet.
Both of these movies, Solo and Venom, got a bad rap, and I don't know why because they're perfectly fine movies. They don't do anything magical for me except for take things from my childhood and say, look at this in real life now. And with that, I'm like, cool. Venom, I thought Tom Hardy was amazing, and I thought that the
Tom Hardy
was...
is my man crush.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I was gay,
Topher Grace is the only
it would
Venom.
be with Tom Hardy. What's that, Cole?
Topher Grace is the only real Venom.
No, Eric from that 70s show. But yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was it was overhyped maybe, but like the reviews were, everybody bashed on it. I thought it was perfectly fine. And
Was it one of those movies where you feel like it was mismarketed?
yeah, kind of, because it did have a lot of comedy in it, really. And
Really?
I think
Isn't that annoying? I think that's annoying. That
I mean,
after
I
Deadpool's
felt like-
success, they're all just mimicking that.
I mean, that's kind of what Marvel does, and this wasn't Marvel's making, but I feel like it wasn't even up to the level of comedy as like Thor Ragnarok or Deadpool or anything like that. It was just like, we're expecting Venom to be just this no personality thing that's inside him, but it kind of had a personality and it had some humor in it. I thought it worked. So my
the face of Venom looks super like cheesy, I think.
yeah, that was
The
another
CG.
thing. Honestly, the CGI didn't really work. It wasn't great, and I know that what they did was amazing, but to make a human symbiote type character be
Does it
look
harken
real?
back to the Rogue One Grand Moff Tarkin bullshit?
No, not that bad because it's not an actual human, but it's
Okay.
still like it does.
It's too
It kind
shiny, I
of
thought.
yeah, it kind of pops out of reality a little bit, not too much.
If it takes you out of the
That
movie,
kind
it
of
was done
stuff.
poorly.
Yeah, I've always, my experience has always been that kind of stuff works in the big screen, silver screen movie theater.
Yeah.
When you get it home, it always wears very poorly.
Right. So for my my 2 watches that probably could have made somewhere on the list if I had watched them and still intend to, the other one that I was talking about that was like Hereditary, where I don't almost nothing about it, so don't tell me about it, but I'm planning on watching it and I've heard great things. It's called Upgrade. That's it. That's it for that story. If none of you have heard of it, but another psychological crazy one. But also Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man, which is about Neil Armstrong supposedly going to the moon. Ready Player One. Does any of you watch that?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Been meaning to watch that too. And yeah, that's it for that. And I also had the biggest disappointment, which I just watched yesterday. Halloween, the new Halloween movie.
Oh, that's too bad.
Rave reviews.
Actually expected that to be good.
It was fine, but it didn't need to exist.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, the whole story is exactly what you expect it to be. Michael Myers gets out of prison, kills some people,
I think I did see
and
that
then
one.
we might have killed him at the end. We may not have. I mean, that's the entire movie.
Halloween.
Yes,
Is
exactly.
that the one where he ends up in the water at the end?
No, that's Freddy versus Jason. I think you're thinking of
Oh yeah,
from like
I watched that
15
this
years
year.
ago.
I watched that this year. I might have watched the new Halloween. I can't remember. I've watched a couple of those early in the year. I don't remember which ones. They were at the same friend's house where we just go over and they'll just randomly like do a movie roulette
Sure.
and just pick whatever.
Yeah,
And
this one
movies
isn't
like-
out on DVD yet, so if you haven't watched it in
Oh, then
theaters
no.
or stolen it, then you haven't watched it. But I don't know what I was expecting. I think it's fine. Like, it fit. Like, I like movies like that where they keep the stylistic feel of the old movies, but give them an upgrade, and it still continues the storyline. It was fine, but there was no story there. It was just dude kills some people, and scary. I just don't find anything suspenseful or frightening about that type of thing.
Yeah.
Nathan, your yawns are embarrassing.
I'm sorry.
Just
am
like
an
your
old
top
soul.
movie picks, which I had almost all the same ones as.
You're talking to Craig.
No. Oh yeah, Craig. Sure. Yep. Whoever wants to take my insults, you're welcome. But so now we will move on to television for the year 2018, which
This is
will
number one.
go faster, I believe, unless it doesn't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Can
For
I
the
go
love
first?
of God. What, Nathan?
Yes, Nathan.
Can I go first, please?
Please do. Set the
Okay.
pace so we all know what to
All right.
expect.
So, guys, I want you to keep with my pace for this section. I'm going to try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. My top 3 picks for TV in 2018. I did not watch any TV shows this year, so I know crazy, but it's just not a medium I consumed this year. I have
All right.
nothing.
That's it.
Aw,
Just like that.
man.
I think we're gonna have a
I
hard time
watched
keeping up with that pace.
Yeah.
I will say I watched half a season of the fifth season of Arrested Development, but the fact that I watched half a season kind of gives you an idea.
Arrested Development
much as I
sucked
love-
after its first reboot.
Yeah, as much as I loved the first 3 seasons of that show, if I'm being honest, I'm just watching it for fan service because
Yeah.
I want it to be good.
I fell off after they brought it back to life. The last time I watched maybe 3 episodes and have
Yep.
never gotten back on the train.
Agreed.
Yep.
With you
I
there.
will say they re-edited season 4, and it is far superior
You told me
to
that.
the original.
They made it more akin with the original 3, where it's not just focusing on one person at a time.
Yeah, it worked so much better. I will say if you kind of gave it a chance with the original edit and you did not like that edit, give it another shot. It still isn't perfect, but way better.
Gotcha. So
That's all I-
did you watch anything like any reality shows or anything like that? Game
most-
shows, Jeopardy.
No, most of the short.
Season 38 of Jeopardy was amazing.
I would say most of the short form video content I consume is internet based. So, but usually that's YouTube channels or
Any YouTube
short.
channels to recommend? And we should probably work that in next year because that's going to eventually become more relevant than a lot of these TV shows.
Yeah.
I'll say this is more of a passive thing on my part. Usually, my wife is the one who's like, "Hey, I've got a video I watched. I want you to watch." But I've kind of been enjoying the BuzzFeed Unsolved channel. It's not new this year, but they, I believe, formed their own network this year. It's basically these 2 guys that go around investigating like different paranormal things. One's a kind of more of a believer, one's a skeptic, and it's just kind of fun, a little bit educational because they usually do like historical sites, and it's just kind of
I'm
fun.
always,
usually,
I'm always looking for something like that. What was the channel?
Yeah. It's called BuzzFeed Unsolved.
BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yeah, and to
Yeah.
clarify, moving forward with shows and such, the show doesn't have to be a new show this year. They just have to have content that was released this year, like a new season or something. So
Sure.
Mm.
And then, I mean, I don't know. There's probably a couple other ones that I've been watching, but a lot of the stuff that I consume is boring, like analysis of like music or pop culture, different things
Sure.
like that. And it's not necessarily like seasons. It's just episodic.
is NPR a
videos.
show?
Oh,
No.
ugh.
I like stuff that's like, hey, why is this cultural, emblem really important in pop culture, or what makes this song really cool or something. And so I just can consume short form, videos like that. So it's not really anything I can say like, hey, you should check this out, because it's just one of my weird idiosyncratic interests.
Sure. Sounds good. All right, who wants to go next? Craig?
Sure.
I'm sure yours will be just as short, or maybe a hair longer.
See, I had a hard time with this because I watch primarily Netflix, and most of the stuff I watch is not new or current. Let's see, number 3 on my list, I was hesitant to even mention because it is wildly inappropriate. And
It's porn.
It's not.
Have
Well,
you guys checked out Pornhub? It's my favorite show.
you did say YouTube channels. You could almost classify that as a channel,
if they-
internet channel.
Sure.
Yeah, well, why not?
Tell us your favorite porn channel, Craig.
All right, number 3 is primarily on Netflix. It's called F is for Family. It's
okay.
an
It's a Family Guy
adult
ripoff?
comedy.
No, it's
pretty much, but
Bill
Family
Burr.
Guy ripoff.
It's amazing.
it's great in my opinion.
It's wildly
The-
offensive.
It's wildly offensive. The part why I was hesitant is because there's an awful lot of cartoon nudity on it, and
They started that in the
If-
second season. I was
no,
like,
they
whoa.
started that. Well, they started on the first because I think
Isn't that
they
funny?
showed
That's
when
literally
the
just
little kid
drawings people
when
made.
the little kid was hiding under the bed on the first episode and he popped out and saw his parents having sex. You could see the guy's balls like bouncing. And if the show itself, the level of like crudeness in it isn't awkward and uncomfortable enough, cartoon nudity is super uncomfortable.
It
It's
is
just like
quite. It's like nobody's
don't know.
like being turned on right now. We're all just like, ugh.
even like the women on it, it's just like, oh, why am I looking at cartoon boobs right now? And they're usually not. It's usually like there's that fat hooker lady
It's
that and
realistic,
her
huh?
boob like pops out. No, it's gross. But the show is set in the 70s, and so the main character reminds me of like a cartoon version of Red Foreman from that 70s show. He's just
Yeah, pretty
always
much.
pissed off at the new generation, the younger generation and stuff, and he's screaming at them a lot more. Tons of swearing on it. So sorry, Cole.
If
you
you're
would
familiar
have to
with-
plug your ears.
Right. Put on the
What?
earmuffs. If you're familiar
Nice.
with Bill Burr, it's exactly what you would expect
it's
from
Bill
him.
Burr.
Yeah, it's his animated show about. I think it's supposed to be about his childhood, even.
And
Like
the
that.
stereotypes and stuff like that from the 70s crack me up. And just the little jabs they make at the airport, the guy that takes the bags at the airport, he's a black guy, and like he shows up at some scene where the main kid falls in the water, and he shows up to see if everything's okay, and somebody throws their keys to him and is like, hey, park it close. It's super like
It's the misogynistic and
yeah.
racism of that generation and that
Of that-
time.
yeah, exactly.
It's
And you have
accurate,
to
and it's hilarious.
you have to understand it's based out of that era, and it's definitely overly focused on. But I find it funny, and like his wife goes and gets a job and is like starts becoming more successful than him, and he gets all pissed off at her because she's supposed to be at home making food. He's like, why can't you be in the kitchen where you belong, and stuff like that. And everybody, if you aren't really turned off by inappropriateness, you
Then-
should at least give it a
Then
watch because
unsubscribe
it
to
is
the show now, because Craig's about to take his pants off.
exactly. I rewatched because I had watched the first season probably 6 months ago, and when I was trying to think of these, I started looking through Netflix to see what I had watched, and that one popped up. So I rewatched the first and the second and third season within like 3 days because it was that good. Number 2 on my list is, and actually, it's
Did you zone out there
ongoing.
for a second?
What?
Did you zone out there for a second?
No, I just can't believe we only talked about one so far.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
Says
Number-
you.
Pick up the pace
My
here,
bad.
Craig.
My bad.
Number 2 came out a while ago, and I actually just started watching it this year. I actually haven't seen the current season because it's not on Netflix
Well, then you
yet.
don't
I've
get to
seen
talk about it.
well, it's out, so I can talk about it.
I'm gonna do that.
Oh, you have
Um,
to talk about the
I've
current
seen-
season.
Well, I've seen a couple episodes of this season. It's Better Call Saul. It's
Mhm.
great. If you
I
don't
can
know what
confirm
that is,
it
it's-
holds up even to the current season, so you're fine.
like I said, the couple episodes I watched was enough for me to be like, yeah, it's still on my list. If you don't know what it is, it's the prequel spin-off to Breaking Bad about Saul Goodman and
This
his
is on my list last year, too.
rise to fame. Yeah, I remember that. I think that's when I started watching it, was after you talked about it last year. Because last year I remember saying how I couldn't get into the first episode because it kind of drug out in the first episode, but then it picked up after that once you actually got
I
through
love
that
how it
endurance.
drags out and how they just take their time with the slow burn because they can.
Right.
Number-
Number 1 is
Nation's moving us
number
along.
Number one is going to break all the rules of this episode because I have nothing else to say. So number one is The Office because it is the best show I've watched all year. And if you
Of
take
course it is. It's
the
the best show of all time.
I've
if
never
you
watched
take
a show more than that, so I can't dox you on that one too much.
I have watched in the last month probably 5 seasons of it, and there's like 28 episodes per season, and it's just like back to back.
In the last year, I probably watched the whole series 5 times at least.
So,
Hands down,
in the
best
context,
show of our time, I think.
it's great watching it in the context of 2018 because in 2005 it would have been funny, but in the context of 2018, it's hilarious.
Yes.
And I work kind of in a semi-office setting, like it's a small
You're a
office.
cable guy,
but
right?
No, shut up. That's Nathan. In
Like
the context, what?
I thought you were a cable guy.
Oh my god.
No, I make this joke every time we have these group episodes. And last time I
Anyway.
said he had to go for a cable emergency.
I had mentioned on our new show that Michael Scott reminds me of a funny version of my boss because my boss is equally as awkward and misogynistic and doesn't know when to shut his mouth, and he will come out and just randomly give the secretary a hug when he feels bad, even though it's just highly inappropriate, and he will just make random comments about women's weight to them without even knowing that he should not do that. And so
I would like to see this evidence and
You should,
the.
you should set up some GoPros in the office and film it.
I should. And then when we could just make a show. I'm pretty sure I can make a show out of my office experience. When I avoid going back to the office as much as possible.
No, that's how the original show was probably created. The guy was like, I could make a show out of how ridiculous my office experience was.
Right.
And they're like, let's do it.
And it's a relatable thing, so people are gonna love it.
Yep.
And this is going to be a rerun for you, Dan, but I watched a couple episodes with my wife last week, and she was drinking at the time. And when she started, she was really into it. And by the time she was a couple of drinks in, she was like, this show is really degrading to women. I was like, no, it's not. And she's like, they're so horrible to the women. I was like, they're not making fun of women. They're not making fun of gay people. They're not making fun of black people.
They're making
fun of the
fun of them.
environment. Yeah, they're making fun of the office environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're making fun of
I'm
the
like,
idea of that.
I'm like, I can tell you for a fact, this is real life. This is what happens in office settings with a bunch of white people. This is how it works. What?
Number 3, call.
Nathan's moving you along.
We've all seen The Office.
That's true.
Everybody knows
Yeah, the fact that you
Fine.
started watching it this year, I understand your enthusiasm. I appreciate that you're like a
just
child
wanted-
a child in today's day who just discovered an Atari and he's super excited about it. But
Right.
this is all
I
old
just
news.
felt like you have to discuss The Office in the context of 2018 because it's just that much better. I
I
had
think it's even
something
better
that
when you
made
think
my
of it in the context of the actual air date.
yeah.
That it was that good then. That it's
Yeah.
still so good now.
Do
And
you
it
have
still
any
holds
honorable
weight.
mentions, Craig?
No, like I said, I didn't watch anything really new this year, so I can't really mention anything. I mean, for fuck's sake, The Office was my number one for 2018. So
Well, getting back into King of the Hill
I
and
don't wanna be
continuing with
last.
The Office,
I can't be
if I
last.
could break the rules like you did, those would be my number 1 and 2. But
you have
cool.
to go last because I don't have like anything.
I have to go last?
Yeah,
So you're going now?
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't have like anything. Like honestly, I watch plenty of TV shows. Honestly, it's mostly The Office, like over and
Same.
over again. Like I've seen it so many times, it's just on repeat in my house. But
Same.
that or like Parks and Rec or something. But I got Hulu recently, and
Same. I
my-
got it
one of
for
my-
King of the Hill.
one of my buddies from high school is really into a show. He always dresses up as one of the characters every Halloween. This season didn't air this year; it aired last year. But I mean, I just watched
Rick and Morty?
Rick and Morty, dude.
Yep.
Rick and
that was
Morty
on my list last year.
is my new favorite show right now, and I
great.
just finished all of it, and it finished airing last year, and I think the next season comes out next year. So really, that didn't even happen this year. It just happened this year for me.
So nothing new?
Not really. I mean,
Did you watch the latest The Good Place?
so I was going to mention the 2 shows that did air this year, new seasons that I really need to see, want to see. I will as soon as they're available on streaming. Will be Better Call Saul and The Good Place. So
It's a
Gotcha.
good place. my list. Season 1 I saw and I enjoyed that a lot, but
Yeah.
I haven't got to see season 2, so I can't really put it on my list.
Yeah, I have a few shows that are kind of on my list, and we'll just get into mine. A Good Place was not in my top 3, but it was on my list because I've started it and not finished it. There's been a few of those shows that I still have yet to finish the current season on. But my number 3, I've got a couple different categories here. I could do a that's great. Number 3 is Ink Master because that show
They still do that?
that show is still going, and it was on my list last year.
No
it was,
idea.
It was basically an honorable mention last year because I don't necessarily consider like reality TV to be like TV in my opinion. Like it's not that creative, but it's still very entertaining, and I watch it every single season and think it's fantastic. My number 2 was Better Call Saul, which I still have yet to finish. I think I'm like 3/4 of the way through, and it's great. It's always great. And my number 1 is BoJack Horseman, which is very
I got high
underappreciated.
ratings, honestly, this year.
Well, I mean, it's very underappreciated. Like people judge it based on what it looks like and the animation and
Yeah,
stuff.
it looks stupid.
It looks very stupid, and
That's why I haven't seen it.
it is honestly that and Rick and Morty both are some of the most like thought-provoking, like really deep adult animation where you can literally feel really bad for this stupidly drawn horse character. Like you can feel really bad for him and then be laughing hysterically the next minute. I think it's really good, and I would highly recommend it, even though it looks stupid. It's fantastic, and I think they're on like season 4 or something. I was surprised when I first discovered it, and it hasn't let me down. It keeps getting better.
This is not this year, as far as I know, but on the topic of adult animation and Rick and Morty, Cole, if you loved Rick and Morty, you should also try to find where you can stream Harmon Quest.
Yeah, Dan
Absolutely.
Harmon.
That's
was on my list
Honestly,
last
anything
year.
that-
the Royland guy, the other guy that
Yeah.
does a lot of the voices, that
Yeah.
guy is hilarious, dude.
He is.
I
anything that
can't
comes out of
support
the
that
mind
because
scan.
of
Shut
that
up,
guy's
Craig.
problems this year.
These people don't
Outrage.
listen to the news.
What's that?
Oh, there was just some controversy with old stuff that they had made that was really, really pedophilic jokes and stuff that
Well,
they got in
They
trouble
still
for.
do those.
I think
Right,
Dan
but
Harmon
it was-
came forward saying it was in poor taste, which is why
Yes.
so it's whatever.
Yeah, we're not
It
going to
was
get into
super.
that too much.
Comedy
It was
pushes
like,
the line all the
especially
time.
since it was like 10 years ago and he made a stupid. It wasn't like there's allegations of him being a pedophile. It was
Yeah.
allegations of him making a joke about being
In
a
poor taste.
pedophile. In poor taste.
Yeah.
Who cares?
There was
Poor
one
taste.
show I forgot to mention that did air this year. American Vandal aired its second season this year on Netflix, and
Mhm.
it's
I've been meaning
stupid.
to watch it.
It's stupid, but it's pretty damn funny. So
Yeah.
Cool.
Is it? I mean, what exactly is that show? Is it like making
it's,
fun
it's
of?
a mockumentary
Right.
of like it's a spoof making fun of the
Making a
sort
murder?
of making a murder type show. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first season is a kid in
Oh,
high
yeah.
school who drew somebody drew dicks on all the teachers' cars, and the second season is about a different school, and the same two kids that were like making the mockumentary at their school in the first season go to this other school to help them figure out who spiked the lemonade with like massive X-lax that made everybody shit their pants.
I did want to do that.
It's kind of funny.
It seems up my alley.
Are we going to do music and then podcast, or podcast and music?
We're gonna wrap up this episode first, and then we're
Okay.
gonna move on to
Gonna
the
say we
audio,
should
which
take
will
a-
be next week. Yes, but
should take
before
a
we do,
quick
shut
break,
up!
too.
I got to give my honorable mentions for TV. Jeez, Nathan, I breezed through mine, and you're gonna kick me out early.
I thought you already did that. I thought you mentioned your honorable mention. I'm
I
sorry.
didn't. No. Still in my honorable mentions, another reality TV show. Actually, a few reality TV shows. Shark Tank is always in there because it's great just to see all the ideas and look at the business side of things. It's smart version of reality entertainment. Jeff Ross's roast battle. Anybody familiar? It's
No, I
like
know Jeff Ross, but don't know
Nope.
that.
it's fantastic. They bring
Do
on like
comic
two.
specials count then?
Well, this is a show. It
Right.
has episodes, but they bring on two comedians who just roast each other. So it's like they'll do like jokes back and forth. They get like 3 or 4 jokes. So it's kind of like old school like rap battling, but with jokes, and it's pretty brutal and hilarious. Norm Macdonald has a show. Is a new show on Netflix.
I don't like it.
You're wrong.
American Horror Story, I'm about halfway through, and it's okay. The new Sabrina show is creepy and horrifying and good dark entertainment if you're into satanic stuff.
I was gonna say, could you make old school show any more satanic? I haven't seen it, but I've seen all like the clips and I've seen like the imagery and stuff like that. I'm like, holy shit, there's a lot of Satanism in there.
Yep, it's true. So check it out if you're into that sort of
Satanist
thing.
Weird shows. Did Ash versus Evil Dead come out this year? Was that?
I think their last season came out last year, and I think they're done now. And I had The Good Place also, which I'm about a third of the way through. So that's my list for 2018 for watching things. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode and move on to the next?
That was 2 years ago. Can you believe that?
Holy crap!
Yeah.
I remember last year. Last year, I took notes of everything you guys said. I'm like, I'm gonna make sure I watch this or listen to this, and I did absolutely none of that this year. Nope.
Yep. Well, guys,
listen to last year's episode.
What?
I said, Craig, go back and listen to last year's episode.
There you go.
And make right.
It's there.
Where
it's
can I find that again?
In the annals of history. But if you want to find it, go on back to episode probably, I don't know, 40 something, and check it out. But guys, it's been a pleasure, and we're going to do another one right now.
That's the show!
Where we talk about the things that went into our ears this year. But Craig, Nathan, Cole, always a pleasure, and I'll see you on the other side.
All right.
Hello
Unexpected
from the
strong
other side.
This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.